I am going to tell you a secret that the corporate suits, the college professors, and the fake internet gurus are absolutely terrified you will find out. I look around today and I see this whole generation, Gen Z, crying on the internet. You open TikTok in 2026 and it is a disaster, a massive, embarrassing disaster. Millions of 22-year-olds are weeping into their smartphone cameras about how the economy is rigged, how everything is too expensive, and how they will never be able to afford a house, all while holding an $8 iced coffee and wearing a designer jacket they bought on an installment plan. Give me a break. It is pathetic. I am Big Don. I am not a billionaire trust fund baby. I am a regular guy who looked at the system, realized it was a giant vacuum cleaner designed to suck the middle class dry, and figured out the exact mathematical cheat code to beat it. The financial advice they give young people today is garbage. They teach you to be a good, obedient little employee. They teach you to put your head down and get squeezed for every drop of your energy. But today, that stops. Today, I'm going to give you the brutal, unforgiving, 5-step formula to put your first $50,000 in the bank by the time you are 25 years old. And let me be clear, this has absolutely nothing to do with getting lucky on a meme coin, and it has nothing to do with starving yourself. But you need to pay attention, because step number 1 on this countdown is the ultimate corporate secret. It is a concept that HR departments actively try to hide from you. And when you hear it, it is going to completely rewire how you view your career. We are going to bypass the system. We are going to crush the fake gurus, and together, we are going to make your wallet great again. Lock the door, grab a pen, and do not skip a single second. Before we get to the countdown, we need to understand why hitting that first 50 grand feels so impossible for a young person today. Why are so many smart, college-educated kids completely broke? It is not because you are lazy. You are working hard. But the modern economy in 2026 is mathematically engineered to separate you from your paycheck the exact second it hits your bank account. You are fighting an algorithmic war. Every app on your phone, every billboard, every social media platform has billions of dollars of research behind it, designed to trigger a dopamine hit in your brain that makes you click buy. When you start from zero, having 50 grand cash feels like climbing Mount Everest in flip-flops. But $50,000 is the magic number. It is your FU money. When you have 50 grand sitting in the bank at age 25, your brain shifts from survival mode into attack mode. You are no longer terrified of your boss. You are no longer trapped. You have leverage. But to get that leverage, you have to do the exact opposite of what the herd is doing. You have to break the rules. Here is the Big Don 5-step countdown. Step number 5. We are starting with the most toxic financial narcotic ever pushed onto young people. I am talking about the buy now, pay later illusion. Klarna, Afterpay, Apple Pay Later. Whatever you want to call it, it is a total scam. Let's look at the whiteboard math, because the math always exposes the lie. Let's say you are scrolling online and you see a pair of sneakers for $100. Your logical brain looks at your bank account, sees you only have $200 left for the week, and says, "No, Don, we cannot afford a $100 pair of shoes right now." But then the devil whispers in your ear. The checkout page says, "Pay only $25 today in 4 easy installments." Suddenly, your brain is tricked. You are not spending $100. You are only spending $25. That is basically free. So you click buy. Then you do it again for a jacket. Then you do it again for concert tickets. Do you see the trap? You have just chopped up your future income into tiny, bleeding pieces. When the next month rolls around, you get your paycheck, but the money is already gone. It is spoken for. You owe Klarna, you owe Afterpay, you owe the credit card company. You are literally financing your lifestyle with money you haven't even earned yet. It is the behavior of a loser. Here is the Big Don rule. If you cannot afford to buy that item in cash twice without checking your bank balance, you do not have the right to own it. Period. You are trying to look rich, but you are actually broke. Cut up the credit cards, delete the installment apps from your phone immediately. If you want to hit 50K by 25, your cash flow must be protected at all costs. Every dollar you earn must belong to you, not to some payment app. Step number 4 is where I see the smartest kids completely destroy their 20s. I call it the first salary trap, also known as lifestyle creep. Here's the scenario. You are 22 years old. You just graduated, or you just finished your apprenticeship, and you get your first real full-time job. Suddenly, you are making $60,000 a year. To a 22-year-old who has been living off ramen noodles and cheap beer for 4 years, 60 grand feels like millions. You feel like a king. So what is the very first thing you do? You decide you deserve a reward. You move out of your cheap shared apartment and you sign a lease for a luxury studio downtown with a rooftop pool. Then you walk into a dealership and finance a brand new car at 8% interest just so you can look successful when you pull up to stoplights next to strangers who do not care about you. It is a disaster. You just took your massive new income stream and immediately tied heavy rocks to its ankles. You increased your income, but you also exploded your fixed expenses. You were making 60 grand, but you are as broke as you were when you were making minimum wage. If you want 50 grand in the bank, you have to deploy the greatest cheat code in personal finance. You must continue living like a broke student for the first 3 years of your professional career. Let's do the math on this. If your new job pays you $4,000 a month after taxes, but you keep living your old lifestyle, having roommates, driving a beat-up used car, cooking at home, your living expenses might only be $2,000. That leaves you with $2,000 a month in pure, unadulterated profit. $2,000 a month times 12 months is $24,000 a year. In 2 years, you have 48 grand. You are basically at the finish line. But if you upgrade your apartment and buy a new car, your expenses jump to $3,800 a month. You are only saving $200. It will take you 20 years to save 50 grand at that rate. Stop trying to flex on social media. Look broke, act broke, and secretly build your wealth fortress. Now we are getting to the good stuff. Step number 3 is where I am going to contradict every single fake financial guru on YouTube. The traditional advice for young people is this. Hey kid, save your first $1,000 and immediately put it into the stock market. Buy the stock and let it grow. Listen to me. If you are 22 years old and you only have 1 grand to your name, putting it into the stock market is a complete waste of time. It is a joke. Let's look at the whiteboard again. The historical average return of the stock market is about 10%. If you take your hard-earned 1K and invest it, after 1 entire year of waiting, watching the charts, and doing absolutely nothing, you made $100. Congratulations, you made enough money to buy 2 large pizzas and a tank of gas. $100 does not change your life. At your age, your lack of capital is not the problem. Your lack of earning power is the problem. So instead of chasing a 10% return in the stock market, you need to chase asymmetrical risk. You need to take that grand and invest it into a high-income skill. I am talking about skills that businesses are desperate for right now. Copywriting, data analytics, digital marketing, or B2B sales. Think about the math on this. If you take $1,000 and buy a high-level certification course in B2B sales, and you spend 3 months mastering how to close high-ticket clients, what happens? You go to your boss, or you switch industries, and suddenly your salary jumps from $45,000 to $75,000 a year. You just used 1K to increase your income by $30,000 a year. That is a 3,000% return on your investment. A $30,000 dividend paid to you every single year. You show me a stock that gives you a 3,500% ROI in 6 months. It doesn't exist. At age 22, you are your greatest asset. Stop relying on your useless college degree that you overpaid for. The market does not care about your degree. It cares about what problems you can solve. Buy skills, increase your shovel size, and once you have a massive income, then you can throw your money into the stock market. Step number 2. We have increased your income with high-value skills, and we have stopped you from buying a stupid car. Now we have to look at the silent killers, the digital vampire costs. I am talking about the convenience economy. Uber Eats, DoorDash, Postmates, whatever you use, it is out of control. Our generation has become so incredibly lazy that we will literally pay double for our food just to avoid walking down the stairs and driving 4 blocks. Let's break down the stupidity of this math on the whiteboard. You want a burger. If you go to the grocery store and buy the meat and buns, it costs you $5. If you drive to the restaurant and pick it up, it costs you $12. But if you sit on your couch in your pajamas and order it on DoorDash, the burger is $14. Then there is a delivery fee of $4. Then a service fee of $3. Then you have to tip the driver $5. You just paid $26 for a soggy, lukewarm burger. You paid a $16 premium for the privilege of being lazy. If you do that just 3 times a week, and I know some of you do it every single day, that is an extra $200 a month evaporating into thin air. That is $2,400 a year. Add in the 5 different streaming services you subscribe to but never watch, the gym membership you haven't used since January, and the premium app subscriptions, you are bleeding thousands of dollars a year. To hit 50 grand, you must become ruthless. You must conduct a vampire audit. Go through your credit card statement right now and cancel every single recurring charge that you do not use daily. Delete the food delivery apps from your phone. If you want restaurant food, force yourself to put on shoes and go get it yourself. 90% of the time, you won't want it bad enough to leave the house, and you will just make a sandwich. Boom. You just saved yourself another 3 grand a year. All right, here it is. Step number 1. The biggest, most lucrative, and most hidden secret in the corporate world. If you only remember one thing from this entire video, let it be this. You must absolutely destroy the loyalty tax. Since you were a kid, your parents and your teachers told you to find a good company, work hard, show loyalty, and you will be rewarded. That is the biggest lie ever told to the American worker. In 2026, corporate loyalty is for losers. It is a fairy tale they tell you so you will accept less money. When you get hired at an entry-level job at age 22, you are brought in at the bottom of the pay scale. Let's say you make 50 grand. You work your tail off for 12 months. You stay late, you do great work. The annual review comes around, and your manager pats you on the back, tells you that you are part of the family, and hands you a standard 3.5% raise. Let's look at the math. A 3.5% raise on $50,000 is $1,750. But wait, inflation last year was 4%. That means your buying power actually went down. Your company just gave you a pay cut, put a bow on it, and called it a raise. If you stay at that same company from age 22 to 25, you might slowly crawl up to $55,000. It is pathetic. Now, let's look at the Big Don strategy, the strategy of the mercenary. You work at that first company for exactly 18 to 24 months. You absorb every piece of knowledge you can. You build your resume. And then, you secretly start interviewing at competitor companies. When you interview at a new company, they do not give you a 3.5% raise. They have to pay the current market rate to acquire your talent. Statistics show that the average person who job hops every 2 years gets a pay bump of 20 to 30% per jump. So at month 18, you leave company A and jump to company B for $65,000. You just gave yourself a $15,000 raise overnight. You stay there for 2 years, become an expert, and jump to company C for $85,000. By the time you are 25 years old, the loyal employee is making 55 grand and complaining about the economy. You, the strategic job hopper, are making 85 grand. You have generated tens of thousands of dollars in surplus income just by refusing to pay the loyalty tax. You are not a family member to these corporations. You are a line item on a spreadsheet. Act accordingly. Sell your high-income skills to the highest bidder, constantly. Let's summarize the blueprint so it penetrates your skull. First, you destroy the buy now, pay later illusion. No more financing sneakers. Second, you avoid the first salary trap. You live like a broke student while your income grows. Third, you invest in high-income skills to drastically multiply your earning power instead of settling for tiny stock market returns early on. Fourth, you audit your life and exterminate the digital vampire costs like delivery apps. And finally, the holy grail. You refuse to pay the loyalty tax. You job hop every 2 years to violently force your salary upward. When you combine all 5 of these steps, saving 50 grand by the time you are 25 is not a pipe dream. It is a mathematical certainty. It is inevitable. But I have to warn you, hitting 50 grand is just the warm-up. It is the training wheels of wealth. Having $50,000 in cash makes you safe, but it does not make you rich. If you leave that 50 grand sitting in a checking account, the silent thief called inflation will slowly eat it alive. Once you have the capital, the game changes. You have to pivot from defense to offense. You have to take that pile of money and deploy it into the market so it can start working harder than you do. You have to understand how to leverage tax-advantaged accounts like your 401k and how to buy assets that pay you while you sleep. You built the machine. Now you have to turn it on. I have another video right there on your screen that explains the exact next steps. It shows you the brutal truth about what happens after you hit your first major milestone and how to allocate that cash to guarantee you are a millionaire by your early 30s. Don't lose the momentum. Click that video right now, take control of your life, and let's get to winning. See you over there.